Good boy. Hi, Gay DeRusso with the Majestic rider. So here today on Ringo, and I'm going to canter him first, and then we're going to work a little bit on his saddle gait, but I'm giving him he got hay in here, which is bothering me. I'm giving him a little break. I already worked on his flat walk and his foxtrot, and he did very well. So we're going to work on his canter. He could canter when I got him, but he didn't canter circles. And he's got to get stronger so he can hold it, come on, around the circle a little bit better than he is. But he's getting quite nice. He canters quite well on the trail. It's just a lot of these guys haven't had the arena work. So he's on the trotty side, so sometimes he doesn't know the saddle gait, so I don't saddle gait into the canter. But I either get it from the walk, and other times I just get it from the trot. So I'm going to half halt, shift my way to the outside, and use my outside leg. Canter. So he's kind of foxtrotting, now he's trotting. Sometimes you got to drive them forward when they're falling apart. Good boy. So I like to walk, canter, walk, canter. Sometimes they get a little trippy in this arena when the footing's going up and down. You can't see it, but it's quite uneven. So these are just transitions. It helps if your horse gets nervous or anxious. They might be dancing around while they're doing this, but in time, they'll learn to canter, walk, and then their canter will get much slower. If you take one of these gaited horses, especially a pacey one, and you just try to canter it until it's tired, thinking that'll slow it down, it'll slow it down. It'll also usually make it fall on its face. Or some of them will just go to pacing. So you got to be very careful with that. It's much better to do transitions to get them to canter slow. Canter. And then just use your half halts, your leg and your seat to keep them going. That's always the bad spot, where they fall apart because the footing's bad there. I try to pick different spots, otherwise they memorize where I give them breaks. And then always sit way back. So we're going to walk a circle and canter one more circle. So if you're working on your horse's canter and you're trying to get it slow and collected, you can use the poles. That's helpful. Or, if they're trotty like he is, it's quite easy to get the canter. And then you just work on transitions. So let's try it over here. Canter. So not a perfect departure, but not bad. There's a horse coming in. Now if they fall apart like that, that's normal. Because he's young. And that's just telling me he's tired because now he's losing his canter behind. Many of them do, or they cross canter because they got that lateral gene so they can do the gaits. So that can make them cross canter. It can make them hop and do things of that nature, but that'll get better as they get stronger. So now we're just going to do our turn on the haunches. He's a very smart horse. He learned the turn on the haunches last week, and then I practiced it a couple of times, and he's like, I got this. So very smart, athletic horse. Just needs time because he's young and he's growing and to get the muscle, but he's going to be very nice. And he's got a great temperament. So those are all the things I look for when I'm looking at young horses to train. And I always tell people, if you're not in for a journey, don't pick a young horse. Because it's like getting a puppy. You're going to go through a bunch of different stages with them. So we're going to switch our stick to the outside hand. Okay, so let's try the canter before he forgets what we're doing. So half halt, shift the weight to the left. Canter. Now he got the wrong lead. Sit way back if that happens. Just ask him again. Canter. I try to bring their hind quarter in to help them to get that lead. So you might see me take their head out because that helps to get their hind quarter in. So you're trying to do it all in stages. Because with the gaited horses, if you don't and you rush it pretending it's a quarter horse or something, they can trip, they can fall down, they get tired. They are not wired the same. So you do not want to make these horses exhausted unless you want to end up on the ground. So you do some, give them a break, do some, give them a break. If they start getting worse instead of better, you know they're too tired, and just quit. Don't do any more, okay? When you're teaching them, that is. So we'll try to get the canter again in a minute. But a lot of them, gaited horses, a lot of them have weaker stifles, and it takes time to build the muscles up around a canter. So if they're not getting it, I kind of pump into it, but he got the wrong lead again there. So just try to bring them back, walk off, get their hindquarter in, and then ask them again, canter. There we go. There we go. You got to be able to feel the leads. If you can't, then you shouldn't teach the canter. Someone who feels the lead should teach the canter. Walk. Now some of them, especially the foxtrotters, can have very nice canters because they're trotty, so it makes it much easier for them to canter versus the pacey ones. And some of them will kind of come way up in the air and give you that real rockin' horse canter. And some of them are a little flatter. It depends on how they're built. So in the end, it's always usually nice, but they got to get the muscle, and some of it, is their confirmation on what they can do and how quickly they can do it. If you have a foxtrotter and it trots when it's loose, that's going to be easy to get the foxtrot. If you have a foxtrotter and it paces when it's loose, that's going to be much harder to get the foxtrot, but it's easier for you to get the saddle gait. You got to keep your reins short and be able to sit back and balance yourself to help them. They can't learn if you're falling all over back on their back. Hindquarter and canter. So I can feel when they're going to get it or not. That's the difference on if I push them or not. Now here I'm going to go a little faster because he falls apart. If they go slow there, they'll lose their lead. See how he just lost it? That's okay, so let's pick it up again. Canter. Walk. Good boy. So I was going to quit over there, but then he just quit, thinking she's going to quit. And I don't want him to do that, so that's why I kept going. Okay. So each horse is different on what they can do when you get them. Some of them can do their flat walk, their running walk, or their foxtrot, and they can't canter. Some can do all of it and can canter, and some can saddle gait and can't canter, or do the other gait. So you're just trying to work on what can my horse not do? How can I make him better? So this guy, I want to see if I can get a saddle gait out of him in time. He seems to have the talent, but he's very trotty, so it's not going to look pretty to start. And these are the things I'll try as I'm riding them around. One is just bending them or bringing their shoulders in. Two, bringing their head higher, because the more we bring his head up, it causes tension around his neck and his back, makes the horses usually go more lateral or towards the pace, okay? And that'll help to get the saddle gait because he's so trotty. And then the other is you can kind of serpentine, or you can jiggle the bit back and forth in their mouth with their head kind of up, and that sometimes will all of a sudden make that horse go lateral. So it's little things people have learned over the years that work. And so if you're going to do it naturally, you usually have to do one of these weird things to help them to get in the gait if they're very trotty. But we'll see how it goes with him. Otherwise, people use angles of their feet, heavy shoes, chains, and things of that nature to get that gait out of them. Okay? But I like to do it naturally, and then in time, get them in a better frame to do it. Okay? So you do have to have your reins short enough to help them. So what I'm going to do is speed up. He's most likely going to go into a trot, and then I'm going to try all those things. Now, if I can get it somewhat slow, and close to the footfall, I'll take that. But sometimes I have to go pretty fast with some of them to get it. So I'm wiggling the bit a little bit. So he's smooth, so even if it looks like a trot to you, it is getting some lateral in it because it's smoother. There's not much bounce. Now throwing the head, that's normal because they're like, why are you pulling my head up? But again, we're just trying to get this to get the gait, and then that'll be the cue later on. Good boy. And then you might be also, if you get a saddle gait and you have foxtrot, you might be able to get a faster foxtrot out of your horse, because then the horse understands go lateral when you pick her head up, but don't go as fast as your saddle gait. So we're going to try it again in a minute. So he's a younger horse, because I know some of you asked help with gaiting your younger horses. So you got to have the feel. Watch the video on what the gaits feel like, or intermediate gaits. I think they both have a demonstration of me showing you what the gaits feel like. And then you're trying to get that sensation in the saddle. It's helpful to videotape yourself so you can see what gait they're doing, because otherwise, if you can't feel it, you might be asking them the wrong way. Like you might think they're trotty when they're pacey, or pacey when they're trotty, and then you do the opposite thing for them. So I'm sitting way back. I'm pushing them over a little bit. Now it's okay that he threw his head. Remember, this is the beginning. Remember how bad Bender was in the beginning, and then he got much better. And I don't want to stop by the gate. Oh, the other thing, in time, I'm going to canter him with his head a little higher, because you see him doing the little gait elope once in a while? Good boy. Good boy. A lot of the horses, if you round them out and bring their head down, they have a nice, pretty canter, especially if you're a dressage person. But if you want that upright kind of leaping motion, usually if you bring their head up, once you get them set in their canter, and then if you start bringing it up, you'll get more of that kind of leaping motion, or where it kind of looks like they're walking and rearing. So it depends what you like. So when I'm starting the different gaits, what I'm trying to do in the beginning is get the idea into his brain of what I'm trying to get, reward him when he tries and it's anything close, and then each day add more and more on. Good boy. So we're going to try it one more time this direction. So I usually try it 3 or 4 times one direction. So he knows I'm going to speed up, so look at him. He's already speeding up. Now I'm just going to try to help him a little bit. So it's a little bouncy. I'm going to wiggle the bit just by vibrating my fingers, and I got him going sideways, which I'm sure you can tell that. Good boy. Good job. So again, first they have to understand they don't know what you want or why you're doing these weird things on top of them. But you try to do it and then reward anything close, and then over time they finally figure out, oh, she wants me to do that weirdo thing with my feet. And when I do, she stops, so I'll do that thing with my feet. And then you're like, that's great. And every week you're like, now you got to do more before we stop. And more. So he's very smart horse, and that's another reason I like him. And he's got talent in him. So now we're going to switch the stick to the other hand. We're going to do another turn on the haunches. So this would be a good horse for someone who rode Western, because in time, again, he's very sure-footed. He's trotty. If they ever wanted to trot, you could get that out of him. And he's going to be able to go on a looser range, just not yet. But once I get the gaits and he understands what to do. Good boy. So not a lot. Now, again, I'm rewarding the try. So I'm going to tell you some other stuff that's weird about gaited horses. So when they trot or pace when they loose, and then those two horses, so two different horses, one's trotty, one's pacey, they do the same gait. Say they do the saddle gait or a running walk, it will look different because the trotty one's going to have more separation of their legs. All the horses are watching me here. And the pacey ones, their legs are going to be closer together, so it might look more like a step pace even though they're doing the correct footfall and they got the head shake and everything for if they were doing the running walk. They shouldn't have much head shake when doing the saddle gait. So the gaits will look different, and that's one thing when you're watching horses, you can tell they're on the pacey side or the trotty side just by how much leg separation they're getting. Now, there are some horses like him that can do some gaits that aren't really described anywhere, where he's kind of in between the trotty side and the pacey side. So it might look like a trot, but be very, very smooth, like smoother than a foxtrot. And you're like, what is that? Well, that can be a whole nother thing that we don't have names for yet. So, if it feels smooth, oh boy, don't be so concerned if it's exact unless you're going to show your horse, and that's different. But just know that some of them can do some really cool stuff. And it's usually the ones that are on the trotty side that get in between the trot and the pace and kind of do these gaits in between like a foxtrot and a saddle gait. It's not all lateral and it's not all diagonal. It's pretty cool though. So it's totally fine. As long as it's smooth, it's fun, and you can repeat it. Okay, so we're going to try it again. And then just know on the trail, there's more energy in the arena. You got to create the energy, either using your energy or a stick or spurs. But you got to get that energy out of them in order to teach the gaits. If you don't have any energy, you can't get them going enough to do the gaits. Go boy. Now that was my third time. That was my third time, and that was good enough. Good enough for me. So he did very good. He's trying. He's not getting up as upset. He's not throwing his head all over, even though I'm picking it up and turning it sideways some. So he's much more willing to try what I'm doing now that he's understanding, and I'm not hurting him. I'm just trying to get a couple weird, funky steps, and then I quit. Okay? So that's him for now. We'll show you as he progresses, and then and hopefully we'll find him a nice home, appreciates all his talents, and somebody who wants a young horse. All right, remember to like and subscribe so I can keep the videos coming.